And we are good to go. Here's Johnny. Let's see. Let's remember where all the buttons are without dragging this out too long. All right, here we go.
And now, on with the show.
Time for bladder check. Check.
Check.
Check. Wait. Screw it. I'm holding it.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
And welcome to Hyperspace Heroes. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
Brown 4, because I don't see Brown 2. Brown 4 signing in.
And Brown 21 reporting in.
Nice. Welcome, Anthony. Long time no see.
I know. You can't get rid of me.
No. No, sir. Nor do we want to. So welcome back. So tonight we are back after a kind of a 3-week hiatus, or 2-week hiatus, but for those following us on YouTube, you definitely caught a lot of extra clips broadcasting out this past weekend. This is our ICCC wrap-up show, which I'm sure there will be an addendum to it once Scruffy makes it. He is on assignment tonight, cleaning up some messes of his own from when he was gone. So welcome, guys. How's everybody recovering post con?
Yeah, I need a vacation to recover from vacation, but I don't think that's in the cards right now.
Right on.
No pun intended.
And I'll say, I like to think I'm recovered at this point. I had to recover pretty quickly with the hurricane that just came through my area, so I didn't get a chance to bask in the glow of, man, this was great. I had to come hit the ground running here and start prepping and get sandbags together and stuff like that. But happy to report that no issues, at least in my home and generally in my community. Looks like we're pretty safe. So
that's
good.
Great.
That's excellent. We drove north where the temperature dropped 20 degrees, and you drove south where the pressure dropped far more than that into a hurricane. So I'm not going to complain about our temperature change.
Yeah, I was at the airport on Sunday, getting ready to head back, and I said to Mrs. Forsco's conversations, "Oh, looks like we're getting a hurricane next week," and here we are, a couple days later.
Well, happy you're safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. And best wishes and thoughts and prayers to those that have been affected by it. So for sure, wish everybody a speedy get back to regular life. But I know it's going to be a struggle. My wife was looking at Facebook on some friends. Not sure where they live, but there was like this much sand literally outside their beach house. So yeah, but they have a beach house, so it's a little different because you're a little more inland, correct?
Oh yeah, we're about as in center in the state as you can get. So we're on the flood zone. It's a good thing.
Right. Right on. Well, okay, so this is going to be our ICCC wrap-up show. We were all down, or you were up in Nashville last week, and it was 4 days of festivities and celebrities and collectibles and autographs and interviews, and I definitely felt the 4-day versus the 3-day this year. So initial, this was your first time, Anthony. So what was your initial thoughts of the con?
Yeah. So I'll say, like my initial thought was that, actually my initial thoughts are like, I'm going to say my thoughts on like Sunday heading back. And I was like, man, this was an awesome convention. That's literally what I said as soon as like I finished wrapping up and was like, I'm done. I didn't actually do the Sunday, so I only did the 2.5 days, so I didn't feel the full 4 days of it all. But once Sunday came and I was getting ready to head to the airport and all that stuff, I just remarked upon the last couple of days at this convention, and I thought, man, this thing rocks. Right? ICCC knows how to put on a good show. It's intimate. Let's just say that. I don't want to say small, because then I think that's too. It's not the term that actually fits what exactly this convention actually does. It's an intimate setting for great fans of Star Wars and beyond to get up close and personal with other fans and the creators and cast and crew of this galaxy far, far away that we all love and enjoy. I have nothing but positive things to say about it for my first experience with this thing, and then I can't wait to see what they get for future years, because that may indicate if I go back again.
Right on. DB, initial thoughts?
Oh, wow. I have to agree with you. 4 days and my late middle-aged body. Whew, it's exhausting, but I wouldn't trade a minute of it, just because it's a family reunion. You go see people you haven't seen in a year, and you just pick up where you left off and talk, and it's fantastic. Oh yeah, and then they throw in all these guest stars and all these vendors and all these clubs, and you're like, man, I just don't want to leave. But somebody's got to come home and feed the dog. So
right. So we went down. We actually, thanks to Scruffy, who wanted to go down like 2 days early, we were down on Tuesday and did some activities. Spent way too many hours on the road, and actually it was kind of like 2 trips in one, because Scruffy decided that we were going to stop at 5 ollies on the way. Which we ended up stopping at 3, because we figured an 18-hour day was not what we were looking for.
Gotta get moving
for a 10-hour drive. So we stopped at some ollies on the way down, and it's going to be funny because I think at Collection Corner, DB, we're going to have to do like what we got at ollies and what we got at the con.
Right.
And, so we got down there on Tuesday. Wednesday, we met up with the ECPC TV crew, and I can't say enough nice things about that crew. Matt, Micah, Jim, and DB, you talked about family and seeing family, because we've known these guys for 2 years now, and wonderful crew. Their ECPC TV is the crew that puts on the podcast room that we all got to enjoy while we were down there, and so we definitely wanted to get down there in time to do any help with setup if we could, because we wanted to chip in, we wanted to help out, and so we did that. And then Scruffy, the real reason Scruffy wanted to get down a day early, which was the game terminal. So we spent about 2 to 3 hours at the game terminal, which is a classic arcade, all 80s and 90s vintage arcade games, and then pinballs up the wazoo. So it was a good time had by all, for sure.
I had a pretty awesome session with Qbert. And if you're not familiar with Qbert, you're way too young, because Qbert's the bomb, man.
Right on. Adelphi Rangers, how's it going? Welcome. Let's see, Jim. Hey, Jim, how's it going? Speaking of which,
oh, I love you for that, Jim, but I'm older than you, so.
So Jim is kind of the head of the ECPC TV crew. He's the producer, I think, is the formal title, and just absolutely marvelous. They gave us a lot of opportunities, which we'll touch on here in a little bit as we go through the breakdown. But Jim, thanks for tuning in, Sir Brown 60. And then one more comment, which is Adelphi Rangers again. I saw all your ollies push. Yeah. That was definitely the start of the media. That was another thing. Doing all the social media for those 5 days kept me very, very busy.
All 900 ollies posts.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, what day did you come down on, Anthony? Was it right on Thursday, or did you get in Wednesday night? Or
so I got in Wednesday morning at the crack of dawn, and my wife had to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so it was pivotal that we got to our hotel and was able to check in super early, or B, we would find a place that had Wi-Fi in the near vicinity of our hotel. So we got in there about 8 a.m. Nashville time Central Time on Wednesday, and then went from there. We found a Panera Bread, and then hung out there for a bit, and eventually got into our hotel, and then went on to explore downtown Nashville in the evening. So that's when we got in.
Right on.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to have to actually go downtown while we're there. I don't think we've done that at this point.
Oh, don't tell Scruffy. It's going to turn into like a 10-day trip if you tell him that. So
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, the chores just stack up when I'm gone. So it's just the honeydew list does not get any shorter. But so the headliners this year was Billy D. Williams and Warwick Davis, and they had a lot of other guests, which we'll get touching in on. But Thursday was the first day. It's the first time he's done 4 days of the ICCC, and we were able to get into the podcast room, and they had some initial guests that day, some fellow pods that had their 15 minutes each. But then the celebrities they had that day, Kim Simmons, which we actually got to do. We got to do that interview, the man that shot Luke Skywalker. He is, for those not familiar, he's the man that did the majority, did all of the photography for the Kenner toys in the 80s, early 80s. And was actually, it was up into the 90s, right, DB, I think?
I think he was up until Hasbro moved the former Kenner out of Cincinnati. So yeah, I think he was doing some of the Power of the Force stuff.
Right.
We'll have to ask him. He's not shy.
Yeah, no, he's not. So we got to conduct that interview, which was great. Timothy Zahn was also that day, which that was a great podcast to listen to. And they did kind of a cool format this year, I thought, which was they would have these celebrities on the main stage do their 45-minute panel, and then they would come directly to us in the podcast room, which I think for certain interviews, I think on some people you could see it was a little tiring, but on others it kept the vibe going for them. And I think we got more out of the guests that way because they were already in that mode of talking and sharing and things like that. And then, those were the two main celebrities that day. It was a good day. It was a shorter day, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of, I think it started at noon and went till 6 or something. But what kind of stuff did you get up to that day, Anthony?
So my big thing was just kind of getting a sense of the convention itself. Walking the show floor was a big thing, kind of getting a lay of the land, knowing where all the things are, the main stage, the podcast stage, finding where you guys were. Those were my big to-dos on that day, but also the Timothy Zahn panel, I think, was pretty spectacular on the main stage. A lot of great tidbits there from the guy about, more so about, at this point in the career, I'm more interested about his workings in, when did he know that Thrawn was coming back? How did he, because he was writing that initial Thrawn novel at the time that the character was re-announced to come back for Rebels in season 3, and just learning the what did he know, what didn't he know, how much that he was able to bring into the character from before, what he wanted to change, what didn't he like about before that he could do again the second time around. That was great. And then, of course, walking over to the podcast stage right afterwards, too, to get a little bit more of that Timothy Zahn goodness was just really spectacular. And, just a pivotal character in keeping the Star Wars fandom going throughout much of the Dark Ages, right? Timothy Zahn, I think we can champion him for a lot of that. And just great to, be in a room with him about 10 feet away.
Right on. Yeah, and it was really cool because he hung around after the 15 minutes as well, because he's so comfortable with the guys in the ECPC TV stage area. And the conversation actually kept going, even though it was not being recorded anymore. And he had a very cool, he has a very cool headcanon regarding Hugs and Lando and the Solo movie and Empire Strikes Back. And it was it was cool to hear, because I was like, you could see all of us, the little question marks were going above the heads, and we were definitely giving it some thought in terms of what his headcanon is about that. So Ryan, how's it going? Thanks for joining us tonight. And Micah agrees with you guys. Micah, how you doing? Thanks for watching tonight. Appreciate it. And Yes, Zahn is the man for sure. And then Matthew, do you really want me to put that up on the screen? I don't know if I really. So Matthew, also part of the
Oh,
CTV crew. We need to have you officially on a show, so because you're the only one of the three doesn't have a Brown designation, so we definitely got to get you.
yeah, either that or therapy, Matt. You need something.
So day one was a little shorter. I can't even, I'd say what did we find each day on the floor in sales and all that kind of stuff, but I can't remember what day we found what. I think we're just gonna have to kind of sum that up towards the end. But so day two, which was the first full day, and instead this year they did instead of a whole VIP day, it was just early access for VIP. And losing my train of thought. Like I said, the first full day, they had a lot more pods. They had a lot more celebrities. We got our official 15 minutes that day. Rule the Galaxy. Oh, I know something I wanted to backtrack. So Rule the Galaxy. So Wednesday night, we're walking around. We're back from the game terminal, and we're walking down the hallway. And then all of a sudden, we hear, "Hey, Hyperspace Heroes!" And we look up, and there's D-Doc from Rule the Galaxy. He had flown in from Philadelphia that day, and so we just grabbed him, took him under our wing, and because the rest of the crew wasn't coming until the next day, so we introduced him to room sales, and we introduced him to Scruffy Juice and quite a few other things. And we had a good time. It was a great
Scruffy Juice, 2-hour waits for pizza.
Oh yes, yeah.
Let's not go down that path. We're being positive.
Yeah, we're gonna.
That had nothing to do with ICC. That was just a bad pizza joint.
So D-Doc palled around with us. It was great to see him from Rule the Galaxy. And Thursday was the first full day. The rest of Rule the Galaxy showed up. They had their time on the podcast stage. We had ours, which we had Matt from Yubcast join us on that episode, another fellow friend of the show, and talked about animation and why animation is killing it. And for all these episodes, for anything that we were in, you can go to our YouTube channel. We're going to be getting the audio or I'll be able to, once I get the master copies, I'll be able to, or copies of the copies, I'll get the audio files going, and we'll post that up on Spotify and Pandora and all of that. But Rule the Galaxy, like I said, we had ours. We talked about animation and why animation is kind of killing it when it comes to storytelling over live action right now. So we had a good conversation on that. Jim Swearingen was that day, which we did get a chance to talk to last year, and that is on our YouTube page as well. Aiden Cook and Steven Constantino, even though I think they separate, or I don't remember if they were together or not. But Aiden Cook was Two Tubes from Rogue One, and Steven Constantino's a regular at that show. He played a Gamorrean guard, friends of Corey Williams, Billy's son. There's a great chapter in Billy's book about how Corey and Constantino got into Star Wars in Return of the Jedi. And Corey's was, funny enough, due to pyrotechnics hurting his dad, believe it or not. But that's a whole nother side story. And then the episode that you joined us for, Anthony, which was Chris Bartlett and Chris Parsons, which was a great fun 15 minutes. You had Chris Parsons is best known for Forlaw, but he was also the body double for Anthony Daniels in the original movies, and he actually got to be on screen as C-3PO, which we learned in his panel in the scenes where C-3PO is sitting, getting carried by the Ewoks, because Anthony didn't want to do those. So he is legit C-3PO on screen. And then Chris Bartlett, or Brown 42, I want to say, we've had him on the show. A great guy, modern day C-3PO at live events, and then over 20 different characters in live action, all the Mandoverse shows. So that was a great 15 minutes, and I was glad you could make it on stage with us, Anthony.
Oh, it was my pleasure to be there. And yeah, what a great conversation with them, because I loved how they had this great banter between each other, right? Just something that, I don't know if they'd met before. It didn't seem like it until they were first on stage, which I think was, like what we said earlier, was a good thing because it warmed them up to each other a bit more. So that once they were able to come and get grilled by us in conversation and questions, then they were more apt to give some great answers, which it was a really compelling conversation, I'll say. So everyone go check out that video on the YouTube page.
Right on. Jump in the chat again a little bit. It's raining Scruffy. Hallelujah. It's raining Scruffy. Oh, I wish he was here tonight.
Yeah, we're going to save that for next week when Scruffy's back.
Yeah, right on. So there's definitely a full story to that. During downtimes in between podcasts and episodes, we get to talking and we get to having fun. And like DB said, it's family, and we just start singing. And I don't know how we got on it, but yeah, our theme song for the rest of the show was It's Raining Scruffy Hallelujah, which was a ton of fun. Let's see, what else do we have here? Delphi Rangers. We need a New Republic Zahn story starring
yes.
Eva. Not gonna disagree with that. Not gonna disagree with that at all, for sure. And then Jim, it's raining and Scruffy. Yep. And then at Delphi Rangers again. Glad you guys were able to meet Tommy. He's a great yes. Tommy. So Tommy, formerly of, when you had told me at Delphi Rangers that Blitz Transmissions was going to be there, I didn't know who that was. I didn't know if you had secretly started a show and you were going to be there or not. But Out of the Basement, I think, was the group there. Some guys took over the Out of the Basement time slot, which was on the full day one. And Tommy came down and introduced himself to us afterwards. And yes, he has kind of formerly of 1313 podcasts, who we've had on the show, but we did not have Tommy. He hadn't joined them in that time, and came up, introduced him, was great, was able to meet him. Yeah, it was just a good, great, again, networking, getting to know people that you meet during social media, all that kind of stuff, those connections, and go from there. So also that day was Dermot Crowley and Tim Rose. Tim Rose, if I'm not mistaken, is Akbar. Right?
Yep.
And Dermot Crowley, I'm blanking on
Nadine.
Yes, Nadine. Yes. And I want to go back and touch on something. The two Chris's, go back and watch the panel too, because there was discussion about, we didn't bring it up in our 15 minutes, but there was discussion on the main stage about KY jelly. And that's all I'm going to say. So
I didn't see that.
If you want to find more about droids and KY jelly, go watch their panel from the main stage, which I'm sure is on the ICCC Facebook page. So then we had Mark Thompson. That was great. So somebody I've wanted to meet for a while. Excuse me. Voice actor extraordinaire. He is the guy that actually was the first one to do the voice of Thrawn. And so that was really cool before it was kind of adapted into animation by Mickelson and then live action by Mickelson. But yeah, kind of, and for some people they would say the most iconic version of the voice, I think. But yeah, that was a fun 15 minutes. We had Matt from Yubcast on with us for that one, and yeah, it was just a fun chat for sure. And if anybody wants to hear what Markion Rowe sounds like, any High Republic fans, you can watch that video on our YouTube. And because once he mentioned he did the voice, I pushed him and made sure we got something, and that was probably one of the best parts of the 15 minutes.
I agree. For just sitting in the audience, that was a true delight. Perhaps one of the best parts of the day was hearing that voice in person.
Right on.
That's the beauty of the podcast room. Sometimes you can bring these things out that they're not going to do in other scenarios. So that's,
yeah, for sure. And then they had Guy Gilchrist, who is a regular ICCC, nice guy. Matt from Yubcast and I did that one. Very interesting gentleman. Let's just say that it was one of the, he definitely put, as a moderator for that episode, he definitely pushed me to moderate. And so, but no, he was a lot of fun. Actually, he was a great. He was a lot of. It was the interview did not go the way I thought it was going to, and I'm happy it did. It went the way that it did, because it definitely, it was a lot of fun. And so we got a lot of people to autograph. We had our banner right at the end of the stairs, and we captured a lot of autographs. And his is very cool. I've got it sideways. In future weeks, I'll turn this so it's right side. But he has his signature where it looks like the eyes of Kermit over his signature.
Oh.
So very fun on that one. But yeah, Friday, our first full day. And any other thoughts on that day? What kind of other things did you do that day, Anthony?
So that was kind of it, everything that I mentioned there. I did enjoy just kind of meeting some people because this was a more full day of the convention show. So just kind of meeting people in line, talking to them. I will say ICCC has a great array of food trucks there. So, just for the logistical side of conventions, you have to eat. And there was a lot of variety, particularly stuff that you don't usually get outside of the Tennessee area. So like catfish was a thing you can get, which I think is a wonderful delicacy of that region. So, was able to enjoy that.
Right on.
Those are the little touches that Mike Havens puts into this that make it worthwhile.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so day 3, which was
You forgot the biggest part of Friday, which is the lobby sales.
Oh, the lobby sale. Yes.
Did you go to the lobby sales, Anthony?
I didn't know there was a lobby sale.
Usually there's one night that the people who want to sell just overtake the lobby. And it's I mean, I would not, if I were not part of this convention, I would have been shocked at what I had seen. Hundreds of people. And all these vendors, they're more convention goers like the rest of us, just plop their stuff out on any table, couch, windowsill, whatever they can put their stuff on. And it's like a gigantic flea market of 40-year-old plastic toys. And it is it's the craziest fun time you'll ever have doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And yeah, I too second that. I had that similar thought too, where it's like, because spoiler to people at home, this is in a Sheraton near the Nashville airport, which is still a working hotel for people that are going to the airport, probably staying a night before their flight the next morning or something like that. And just see people walking around in cosplay, they're like, what did I stumble into here?
Yeah. And they must have signed a contract with some of the airlines since we were last there, because we kept seeing flight crews come in for their overnights constantly.
Oh,
And right in the middle of the lobby sales, here comes this huge flight crew coming in to check in. And it was so funny because the look on some of their faces were like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. Or like a Warwick Davis was often in the benches out front of the like the main lobby there, where you would get dropped off at if you had either an Uber or you're on the shuttle getting dropped off for the hotel itself. And you imagine just getting off your shuttle, you just got done with your flight, and you're like, there's Warwick Davis right there. Like, what did I walk into?
Hey, I spent a lot of time on those benches, and I never saw him out there. Scruffy was a lucky one this year out on the smoking bench. But I got to tell you, there was one day I was out there, and a flight crew came out together, get on their shuttle. And I don't know if he was a pilot or a flight attendant, but this one young fella, he comes running out and he goes, there's an R2-D2 in here. Come. And he kept running in because somebody had a remote control R2 out in the lobby. And he just kept running out and grabbing the flight crew to go back in and see it. I mean, he was like a kid. And I'm thinking, this guy's going to fly a plane in 20 minutes. But, hey. But I digress from lobby sales. I'm sorry.
No, it's great because, in fact, on the Imperial Commissary page, people from I was scrolling on Facebook, and there were some people posting room sales pictures, and you could see pilots in some of the room sales having a good time picking stuff out. And so, no, it was great. The lobby sale is a regular thing. They do it one night every year, and everybody just brings their stuff down. Kudos to Micah, who actually sold his entire collection that he brought with him that night. Started selling off pieces, and then I think somebody walked up and just bought like the whole lot, and was just like, there you go. And so kudos to him on that. but yeah, day 3, Saturday, that was another full day for sure. Other pods were there. Some of the celebrities, Lauren Vaught and John Goodson. So those were 2 celebrities that you couldn't get autographs on the regular floor, but you could, if you went to the virtual cantina karaoke night that night, you could meet them, which we did. And we got autographs from them, and we may have secured the a verbal commitment on some future interviews. So out of Mr. John Goodson. So
Ooh.
he very cool guy. Told me a quick story when I was getting the autograph. And for those that don't know, he's the primary sculptor and model maker for the Razor Crest in modern day Star Wars. But that was a cool Lauren Vaught. She was pretty cool. Makeup artist, wardrobe, things like that. And that was a very fun interview. Amy Allen and Michonne
Bourrier.
Yes,
I heard her say it several times. So
and Matt kept repeating that, so I appreciated it. Bourrier, yes. So Aura Singh and Ayla Secura from the prequels, and so that was fun. Matt from ECPC TV did that, and then one of the headliners and Mr. Billy D. Williams. And you can find pictures of a lot of these interviews, a lot of these guests on our socials. So just head on over to Hyperspace Heroes and you can find it on there. I'm sure Anthony's got a bunch on Force Ghost Conversations as well. You can find it on the IC Facebook's accounts and some of the ECPC TV as well. But yeah, Mr. Billy D. Williams, one of the headliners. And I can't thank Jim, Matt, and Micah enough for letting me sit in on this interview. Definitely a highlight of the trip for me. I listened to all 11 plus hours of his audiobook to prepare for it, for a 15-minute interview. And I don't think it could have gone any better.
That prep work paid off.
Mm-hmm. It did. I dug deep, didn't ask him a single Star Wars question. Again, you can find this interview on our YouTube channel. But one thing we missed out on, I guess, and I had forgotten about when we were doing the interview was, he did some lounge singing for a while, and he's done an album of standards that he put out decades ago. And I guess he did do a little singing on the main stage during his panel there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, a true gentleman came into the room, but it was also the scariest moment of the con for me. One of the two, because as he started to come up the stairs to the stage, they started to pull away from the stage a little bit. And all I could think in my head was, oh my God, there's a news, Billy dies at con kind of thing. And oh my God, I grabbed those stairs so fast. I think it was just a wobble. I don't think there was ever any issue, but still for me, it was kind of like, I could see Billy's life flashing before my eyes. Well, especially after reading the book or listening to the book.
All 11 hours for nothing.
All 11 hours. Yeah, right. But no, it was a great interview. A lot of fun. Matt and I did that interview from ECPC TV, and a true gentleman. We talked about Batman 1989. We talked about some of his films, his painting. But the thing that really struck me the most after that interview, and actually during the interview, was he's old school in the fact that it's something that we don't do as a society anymore. But the whole time you would talk to him and he would talk to you, he maintained eye contact. And that struck me so much because in today's day and age, and we'll do it during the podcast, we're doing it constantly. We'll look away, we'll do this, we'll do that. And when we talk to people, we're looking at our Apple Watch or our phone or this or that. And the fact that he maintained that eye contact it hit me. I was like, you know what? This man is giving me his time. And I truly, truly appreciate that. True gentleman. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we had some freestyling. We had a freestyle session where we talked about the Acolyte. because we didn't want to talk about fuel consumption on this trip, I guess. So it was Acolyte this time around and had a pretty good discussion. I think it ended up being pretty well balanced. And then we had Warwick Davis up on the stage. The ECPC TV crew did that one. Another great interview. And what a great guest. I love watching him on stage when he moderates panels at like Celebration and things. He's a great moderator himself.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I've seen him at several conventions being the moderator. And he just brings life to anything he does. And even in his interviews, I mean, just you can feel his energy. Oh
yeah, without a doubt.
Do we dare talk about what Scruffy's idea was in the hallway?
So yeah, one of the great things about staying at the hotel is that a lot of the several celebrities do as well, and so we were able to you just run into them in the hallway. That's just what you do. And so yeah, he was talking about laying down on either side because he rode this little mini Segway everywhere he went. So Scruffy was talking about if we see him in the hallway again, we should trap him, just lay down. Which you know what? I bet you that thing's got a strong battery and probably just would have rolled over us.
Yeah, it would have been nothing. Yeah, we wanted to be human speed bumps to slow him down so we could talk more. But
yeah.
We also realize that these celebrities are human and don't want to be pestered every waking minute, right. So we didn't do it.
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. So, and then the final celebrity guest of the day, which wow, that one, the ECPC TV crew offered me that one, and I couldn't say no. And excuse me. So, as Brown leader, I got to interview Red 2, Red 3, and Gold leader themselves, which is Wedge, Biggs, and Gold leader from the Battle of Yavin. And that was oh my goodness, that just, I'm still not over that interview. That was a ton of fun. And I can finally say my claim to fame is that Luke could not save Biggs, but Brown leader could. Because as Biggs was going down the steps, he slid, his foot slipped, and I caught him. So he didn't tumble. There was no issues. Everybody was safe. Ooh. But they're getting up there. They're older gentlemen, and that could have been not fun.
Yeah, that was the next headline that was going to have your name attached to it.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Michigan man kills 2 at local convention.
But no, it was great. Talking to those gentlemen was definitely an honor. It was not an interview I expected to be able to do, but again, thank you ECPC TV crew for letting me do that one. Because it was a lot of fun, and you could tell they just loved. Again, another example of they came off the main stage. They had an energy going. They were used to riffing off each other, and they continued it in our 15 minutes. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of good bantering there. And what was Dennis Lawson's term? Shenanigans or something? You asked him about.
Yes.
Asked him about what they did during downtime filming Star Wars, and he refused to elaborate on those shenanigans. I would like to hear more.
So, and also right around I did look this up last night because I heard another show recently talking about Star Wars, and they had mentioned somehow they got on the topic of Wedge's 3-second cameo in Rise of Skywalker. And was it just, fan service, or should they have done more? And if you go to the 10-minute mark on that video, actually, Dennis talks about his experience on Force Awakens, and we find out why it actually turned out to be what it was. It was actually scheduling conflicts. They had wanted to get him more for the film, but due to current projects he was already working on, it ended up being 1 day of shooting, and that's all they could get. So maybe there would have been more. I would have, I think we would have wanted to see more Wedge if we could get Wedge. I don't think there's any argument about that. But no, like I told him when we did the interview that when we saw it in the theater and he came on screen, the crowd just lost it, just erupted. So, but yeah, it was a Saturday was a good day for sure.
You know, I have a dumb question.
What's that?
If Wedge were to have kids, would they be little Wedgies?
Why not?
Sorry, I haven't made a bad joke yet today.
We could have done that as Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week.
I'll save it. You guys didn't hear that. You heard nothing.
You heard nothing. But yeah, what kind of other things did you get to do on Saturday, Anthony?
So I will just say first and foremost that this Saturday was my Super Bowl of the convention because there was so much to do on this day. And when you just go through the panels that they had on the main stage, from ILM folks to actors behind the scenes to literally Billy D. Williams and Warwick Davis, like this day of panels on the main stage could rival any other convention that is currently going on in the world today. So the fact that you're able to get this in an intimate setting and you're guaranteed to basically get into all these big panels, and if you really want to, there's a high probability that you'll be able to ask a question to the guys and gals up on stage too. So to have that level of access is pretty unprecedented, which I think is a great plus in the column of why you should go to ICCC next year. I envision that they will have another array of wonderful talent that they will have on stage as well, wherever it takes place in the Nashville area. And, that's just something that I think is just fantastic about it. So I was basically just sitting in the main stage all day because it was like, okay, in 15 minutes, this next group is coming up, and Billy D. Williams is here now. Okay, great. Warwick Davis, this is awesome. Let's keep this train going. And then rounding it out with Dennis Lawson and Gold Leader and Biggs. Like the fact that you're getting all these, like, let's say at a celebration, right? You would probably never get the three of those guys on a stage together. Right.
Right.
They would never have a panel together. And the way that ICCC does a wonderful job of like coupling people that are kind of in the same vein, or maybe they had shared a scene together, or they both were in the prequels together. And they're able to have a great conversation based off of that and share different experiences and memories from those times. I think they did a wonderful job of curating of their overall panels and the story that they want to be told across the board here.
Right on.
Agreed.
Right on. Yeah, they do good. You're right. And two things: the pairings, they do great pairings, and yeah, there's never there's rarely a feeling like, am I going to get in that panel? Am I going to get that panel? I got to get, it was great. And honestly, the podcast stage room is an underutilized area by the fans. There's a lot of things that, because we do try to ask things different than what they ask on the main stage. So, and it's an even more intimate environment, to where you can, it's great. And outside of the headliners, the other cool thing about it is all of the celebrities are just right out on the floor. So that's right. you can swing by, strike up a conversation, talk to them. I saw other podcasts doing little mini interviews with them right on the floor. Everyone is approachable, and kudos to Mike has told us that several times when we've had him on the show, is that he only goes for celebrities that will be good with the fans and interact and friendly. And he does a good job with that.
Yeah. Sure. I don't know how many times just walking back and forth to our room or to the podcast room, they're right there along the path, and I could just stop and say, hey, how's your day going? And they would actually answer. They wouldn't, they weren't dismissive as sometimes you see at conventions. Yep. They're right there in your face. They're very fan friendly. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. We sat with Chris on Friday, and then on Saturday I went back and got an autograph from Chris Parsons, because we've got autographs from Chris Bartlett, and we were talking again. And I said, thanks for doing the podcast with us. And that podcasts were kind of a new thing for him, so he was actually excited. And we're going to get him on. We're going to work with him. We're going to work with him to figure out to help him, and we're going to have him on the show down the road at some point. And he's really excited. It was something new for him too. And I think he was having a real good time, this whole podcast thing, and if you're not in the environment like we are, it does seem kind of, what is a podcast? What is, you see that sometimes when the guests sit down at the table, right? You see them, they sit down and they're like, okay, what are we doing? And they're not quite sure what to do or how to act. And And so it was cool. It was kind of fun to have that energy, and I just swung by the table. Didn't have to stand in line, maybe wait one or two customers while they got theirs, but still, it wasn't. You're not hundreds deep, or anything.
Yeah, you're
like
not
that.
spending half your day waiting in line for someone to then sign something and give you 20
Right.
seconds, and if that,
Right.
maybe just look at you and then move away, right?
Yeah.
You want your name, you want this, how do I address it? How do you spell that? And then they
Yes.
move on. None of that.
Exactly. So so that was Saturday, and very cool day. And then Sunday, the final day, and I know you had to get ready, and you had to head off, Anthony. But Saturday we did some more pods, and then for the celebrities we had let me check the schedule here. Freddie Thoman, which I'm sorry we missed that one. I had the chance to sit in on it, but I was busy trying to get some other things taken care of. So that was just ECPC TV. But wow, what a great! So Freddie Thoman worked in the toy industry. Designing toys and stuff, the 80s, 90s, maybe even the 2000s, and lots of different lines that he worked on. Dropped one of the best lines of the convention, which I'll leave that for. So let's just say, we're going to leave it at that. So you go watch the Freddie Thoman podcast on the ICC Facebook page for that. But very cool guy, very fun, very talkative. And so we're definitely working on getting him on at some point. Tim Affler, DB and I did that one, which
I had randomly stopped by his table on day 1 or day 2, because I had noticed a toy there that I had as a child, still have as an adult. So we got talking, and thankfully we had, because when they offered us this interview, I had this storage of questions that I could keep him going for 15 minutes. I could have gone for another hour. He's just so interesting. I'm sorry I interrupted you there, Mr. Moderator. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Keep going.
Yeah, they said, hey, do you want to do Tim Effler? And so Brown Leader moderated, and I sat there like a fanboy, starstruck with this guy going, you worked on that too? You worked on that too? I mean, at one point, Brown Leader had to say, no, we got to wrap this up. He said that to me because I found out he worked on the original Death Star toy. I mean, come on. I mean, if you look behind me, there's mine, So
Hoth play set, and he had a hand in the design of the Jurassic Park logo. So
yeah, he had so many stories. I was just glad they offered it to me and I took it, because what a great interview. That was fun.
Yeah. That was a good one. And then, I want to take a step back. So on Saturday night, we had mentioned earlier, virtual cantina karaoke party where we met John Goodson and Miss Voigt, Lauren Voigt. But prior to that, so they have bands playing during the day. They have music going on out in the courtyard during the day, and at night they had basically it was almost like a super group in a way, because they had some of the celebrities playing.
Oh man.
And con men, I think they're called the con men, and did not know this until I saw a clip later on that night on the ICCC Facebook page. But Chris Bartlett was playing drums for at least one song, and Constantino was playing, because he's a musician. That's actually one of the things he was doing on the set for Return of the Jedi. He and Corey were playing music for the cast at night. But so it was a lot's going on, just constantly. Mike's got things going on all over the place. But where else are you going to just wander down from your hotel room, sit down with a drink, and watch celebrities play music, for your enjoyment, at no extra cost too, by the way. Just all part of the festivities. But back to Sunday, the final day, the final guest, which again, another great interview. Scruffy sat in on this one with the ECPC TV crew, but Mr. Paul Blake, or Greedo, from A New Hope, and that was hilarious. Oh my gosh, we were laughing so much.
What a great guy.
Yeah. And if you go and watch the YouTube video, yes, Scruffy asks the question. So, but I'll let you watch the video to find out how Greedo answers the question. So, definitely a fun interview. I'm so happy that Scruffy got to do that one.
Yeah, that was fun. That was his version of my Tim Effler. Like, wow, I'm really sitting across from this guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we show was kind of wrapped up about an hour after that. We got Mike the mic guy went out with Scruffy in the last 10 minutes of the show because I encouraged Scruffy to buy something else before the show is over. So Scruffy, 10 minutes to go. Scruffy, he's like, I'm like, Scruffy, it's still out there. I just checked. You better go get it. And because he's been building a Hammerhead army, and someone had a 3-pack of New Hope Funkos, and one of them was a hammy. And so I was like, you got to, and Mike, the mic guy, had just talked them down on the pricing on some other stuff. And usually on Sunday, the vendors will mark stuff down because they're trying to get rid of it. They don't want to take it home. And and they did talk them down $10 on it. So, but that was an absolute blast. But and then we helped ECPC TV pack up and get things, because we got to break down, they got to break down the convention right away. But we loved doing it. We loved coming in and chipping in extra with those guys. And it was just a great time.
Yeah. It's not work. You're just hanging out with friends and, we're patching cables or wrapping cables, whatever, Yeah.
No, it was a fun atmosphere for sure. So anything else about the show before we get into any items that the collection corner segment about the con?
I'll just say again, this is a really wonderful convention, just top to bottom. From logistically, it's pretty sound. Of everything is pretty clearly labeled where it's at. There's a great ICCC app that also has a wonderful way of telling you where the panels are, what panels are going on right now, who's on the podcast stage, what are the show hours, all that stuff. I mean, it's really convenient for someone that was there for their first time. It all just kind of flowed really well, and you could tell that everyone was having a great time behind the scenes making it happen, as well as the talent that was there. A lot of great stuff on the show floor. So literally something for everybody at this convention. There was laser tag there, like I said, great food trucks too. Like it had it all, frankly. If you're looking for a great experience, even if you're not just a big Star Wars fan and you're just kind of a casual, I stumbled into this, like I'm sure some people at the hotel actually did. I'm sure they had a great time as well, because this show is definitely made with that fan perspective in mind, and it just comes to the forefront for those that are in attendance. And I'll say again, the content of the show is something to rival anything else out there in the world. Like if you go to like a C2E2 in Chicago, or even a MegaCon here in Orlando, anything similar to like a Star Wars Celebration or a D23, like the content at these panels is top tier across the world. Like how often are you going to get Dennis Lawson along with 2 other pilots from the original Star Wars film up on a stage together telling stories with each other? How often are you going to get people from ILM talking about the making of the prequel films, as well as giving some tidbits about Skeleton Crew in the process? It's not often that you get these, and Billy D. Williams, he's not going to be doing this too much longer in the future, so you got to cherish those moments that you can have of him up on stage, and just to see the whole breadth of his career up on at once. And Warwick Davis too, like this man's touched just about every cool franchise of the last 30 years. It's just a really wonderful convention top to bottom. And if that's my pitch to anybody, if you're on the fence for going in the future, then by all means, I think it's worth your time and effort.
You know what I'll add to that, Anthony, is if you are coming from a distance, stay at the hotel right there if they have it, if they have it at that venue again, because you're right there. You see the celebrities in the hall, and I don't know how many times I would lug a bag of stuff I bought back up to the room just so I didn't have to carry it around. Plus, I'd go up and have something to eat in the room because we did some grocery shopping. But just those little conveniences of having it right there is so nice.
Sure, absolutely. And then there's something I'll say too, like if it's at the same place in the future, it's only a 10-15 minute Uber drive to downtown Nashville if you really want to explore the city in the evenings too when the convention is over, which I did every night, and was able to explore a lot of different neighborhoods and try some of the restaurants that we had curated for our stay. So easily accessible across the board, from but just getting off the the airport and going straight to the convention and figuring everything out, versus also if you want to have some extra excursions beyond the convention itself.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about this con all year long. We've talked about this con for the last 2 years, ever since we went the first time, right? DB, we're constantly talking about this con and how we're excited, waiting for the next one. And I was listening to, we didn't go to the cosplay awards, which is also the closing ceremonies of the show, but we were listening to it on the drive back, and Mike says something at the end of the con, which is and I think one of the reasons we keep talking about it and why we keep going is what is one of the core stories of Star Wars but found family. And that's kind of what this con is. It's different. It's not a huge massive con, but it's got a different vibe, a different feel, a different energy. It does have a found family feel, and I think that's probably why it resonates with us so much.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We're talking to Anthony. He's one of our found family, the ECPC TV guys. Hey, let's talk about Steve Carbo. We've had him on the show several times this year. Runs his own con up in Minnesota now, Yep. Scott Baker. I mean, how many people have we met that are just friends? You just pick up where you left off the next time you see them.
Yep. Mike has said it on the show before, after 30, you stop making friends. It's not like you're going down to the playground making friends all the time. So this is a place where we come together for a common reason and we make friendships, without a doubt. All right, let's see if I can find my here we go.
Soundbite.
I want it all. I want it all. I want it all.
Not a YouTube strike. Okay. So order. Yeah, there's a lot for sure. Anthony, let's start with you. Was there anything that you picked up? I know you flew in, so your ability.
Yeah, my trunk space limits me what I can actually get.
Right.
But I was able to snag a signed picture that I got from Warwick Davis there.
Excellent.
I love Willow probably equal, if not more, some days than Star Wars. So the fact that he was there and got to meet him and tell him how much Willow means to me was just a real. I mean, I was already planning to go to ICCC, but once he was announced, I was like, this is something absolutely I must do. So getting to meet him, he had his own room to himself, so very easily approachable on that front, and had an array of different things, like at least in terms of autographs and pictures that they had there, from everything that he's been involved with, from Harry Potter to Willow to Star Wars, Leprechaun, and beyond. Just wonderful, and it's not often you get to meet your heroes and to tell them how much they have meant to you. So take those opportunities when you get to. That's all I got to say on that one.
Right on. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, on the autograph front, I think, DB and Scruffy and I all went and saw Mr. Bartlett. We had zeros that we had ordered in time when we interviewed him the first time, and he autographed those for us. And it was very cool because he took all three and lined them up, and he wrote one of Zero's lines, but broken up between our figures. So it was very cool, but it was the line, "Don't worry, Mandalorian. My response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too." And he broke that up over the 3 boxes. And so it was very cool. Chris is awesome. I also got a autograph picture from him as well. I probably did the most autographs that I have done at any show, which is so I did the autograph picture from him, which is very cool because he personalized it to Brown Leader, Nita co-pilot. John Goodson, the guy from ILM, got his autograph. Let's see who else. Chris Parsons, who did Forlom. And then while I was talking to him and he was so excited about, doing a podcast with us, he was like, "Well, do you want another autograph?" And I was like, "Well, sure. No, yeah." And he's like, "No charge." And so I had to get the one where he's as 3PO, because he, first, the one I paid for was the Forlom because that's who he is, right? But yeah, and then when he offered a second, I was like, I got to take 3PO because he was 3PO on those scenes. So, and then Mark Thompson as well, who we're hoping to get on the show at some point. So, but yeah, it was great because you not only like you said earlier, Anthony, it wasn't just autograph and go; it was autograph and have a conversation, and which is so much more, and you don't get that at the larger cons very often. So
you don't get it at all. I'll tell you that. In fact, they're trying to do the opposite, right? They're often trying to get volume over quality and quantity, right?
Right. Exactly. So, DB, any initial items before?
How much time am I allotted?
Yeah, just a couple highlights, and then we'll sprinkle a few every episode.
All right. A couple of highlights. I got a modern land speeder.
There you go.
Did I need it? No.
Yes.
But it's cool, and it's going to go in the diorama.
This is the danger of driving to the con. So it was,
they were threatening to strap me to the roof because I bought so much.
we were gonna do National Lampoon's Family Vacation and put him on the roof like grandma, and yeah.
I got, and I know I've talked about this on the show. This is a Creature Cantina base that Steve Carbo brought from Minnesota for me because I'm going to customize this, and we'll talk about that when that happens. Another highlight, Jabba Throne. Never had one. It is complete. I've just got the pieces tucked away. Okay.
Nice.
Because I've been building all these dioramas, I got to have these pieces. But I had a couple of major targets that I wanted to get. And there's one of them. I got the turret and Probot. The Probot's not on there because it's in the box with all the action figures, and we'll talk about that in the future because I'm going to need to borrow some fingers and toes to count all of those. So, those are some highlights of 40-year-old toys. Okay, 20-year-old toys. Just some quick highlights. It only took 2.5 minutes.
Right on.
I can talk because there's so much cool stuff, so much. I mean, we've talked about the podcast room and the main stage, but in between things, you just go wander the floor and there's so many vendors. And yeah, sure, a lot of them are selling this, but some of them are selling crafts. A lot of incredibly talented artists. That if I had any wall space, I would love to buy some of that artwork because it's so unique.
So this is something I found randomly in a room sale.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
isn't that cool?
Very cool. And the guy didn't have it. I'm like, what do you want for it? And we talked, and I think I got it for 10. It's on eBay for anywhere from 35 to 50. Very cool. I'll get it in a frame and get it up here on the wall. But just something different. It was something I wasn't looking for. It found me when I was walking through room sales. So, we'll show all the R5s on another day. We'll probably, when we get into Scruffy's, the additions to his armies. But that guy was like $5, so had to pick him up. I've been getting some of the other Battle at Echo Base 40th anniversary pops when they've been on sale from other places. So I guess I'll just finish the set at this point. Bunch of R5s, which will show. Oh, okay. So hadn't seen this one before. I'm a big Mando fan, Mandalorian Boba, so I had to pick that up. That's going to go to the desk. And then the rest we'll do on another show. So right on. So well, Anthony, it has been great. It was great to finally meet you face to face. We've had you on the show a few times. Glad you had a great time. Glad you got to kind of see. I know one other thing I've got to show before we get going. So these were one of the pins. I did pick up an extra one. We're going to send it down to one of the viewers, Max Rebo Experience. We've been talking. I'm going to get that in the mail to him hopefully this week. So But I don't think he's watching, so he can't hold me accountable to that. But I might do the FACPA, and he'll get that reference. I might do the FACPA shipping. So, but other than that, Anthony, it was great to meet you finally face to face. It was just, and I'm glad you had a great time at the con.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and it's great to meet you guys as well. It was a true blast, and days went too fast. I'll say it.
It did. It always does.
It's a blur.
Right on.
I'm glad, Brand Leader, you broke that down by day, because I don't know what day what happened.
Right. Right. So, all right. Well, Anthony, good to know that you're safe and sound, that you survived. So cool. Very awesome. And I know you'll probably be doing a wrap up episode as well, right? Throwing that together. So if you don't follow Anthony, definitely follow Force Ghost Conversations. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Force Ghost Conversations is your cozy home for deep dive discussions into all things Star Wars and Lucasfilm adjacent. So you can find us on any podcast platform. Apple, Spotify are typically your most popular places. But if there's a podcast place that you like to listen to, we're probably on there. So just search Force Ghost Conversations and you'll find us in some way, shape, or form. We're also available on just about every social media platform you can think of. X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I think I listed all of them or most of them. Just search for Force Ghost Conversations again, and you'll find us if you want to continue the conversation there. And of course, we'll have our ICCC recap episode out on Sunday, featuring a nice soundbite from Brown Leader himself in there. So be on the lookout for that, folks. If you want a bit more ICCC coverage and boots on the ground conversation, because these were recorded live on site.
Right on.
Excellent.
On. Very cool. Definitely subscribe and follow for sure. All right. So for everything Brown Squadron, you can get a hold of us on all of our socials. We're on all the services as well, including Blue Sky. And I think I posted on there today. I don't know. There's so many now. Right. But you can email us directly at brownsquadron@gmail.com. Or if you're looking for any of our links, anything, just go to beacons.ai/Brown Squadron, and you can find all of our stuff there. So, I know this is the wrap-up episode, but I know we'll be talking about ICCC for the next year, or 9 months or 8 months or however long. Mike, that's your cue. Come on, announce the next show, please, sir. I know he always takes a week off, so right after the con, well earned. So again, thank you to Mike, the ICCC crew, and the ECPC TV crew. You guys are just wonderful. You guys are family. We're even talking about hitting maybe celebration for the 50th when it comes back to the States, which it probably will.
And we're all staying at Anthony's house.
There we go.
hey, if it's in Orlando, who knows?
Yeah, right on. Just you can find us at any of those things. And with that, stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be talking about ICC more as we go forward. So, all right. With that, this is Brown Leader signing off for the crew. You have been listening and watching Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
Was it good for you?